Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and after a few days of radio silence from the OpTic camp on his potentially imminent return, we do finally have an update from Zuma on what he's heard happening here behind the scenes, believing that assist is indeed in iLLeY's thumb, going to get it drained here over the coming days, and potentially surgery required at the end of the season. Not good news at all for iLLeY's return, but also his performance when he can get back into business. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. As I say, plenty to dive into, of course, today. This from Clay we did look at yesterday. Vanguard does my head in sometimes, but Arcitys like, real talk as well. And in fairness to FaZe, they're number one in the standings all across the board. We will look at some power rankings here in a few minutes' time because thought they were rather interesting. Having, it's exactly difficult to say where FaZe should be right now because, yes, they are probably the best team to beat, but they haven't won anything, right? So it definitely does raise an interesting question as to where they should sit in terms of power rankings. We'll see that here in a few minutes' time. This I wanted to mention, first of all, actually, from the Looney and Slasher side, just because, Slasher doesn't seem to have too much hope that the sequel to Modern Warfare will be particularly good. Even Parasite said last night on the flank that from what he's heard, this game is pretty terrible indeed. He's not particularly confident that Modern Warfare 2 is going to be any good. He's kind of heard a similar thing similarly to what Doug Tinton Martin has heard, that the pro players that played this game at the playtesting were not particularly happy about how it looks for competitive play. So we shall see. I'm sure they were giving their feedback on it. It's a pre-alpha build or whatever. Theoretically, they could change a fair bit about this upcoming title, but whether they actually care about what it looks like for competitive, that's another question entirely. But Activision also have to think that if we don't make any attempt to actually make this game viable for competitive, these franchises that still owe 90% of their franchise payments are still owed, are not going to be particularly happy or going to take legal action or whatever the implication might be if Activision promised them and actually let's say competitive support. But that's a topic for another day. The other part of this actually was the fact that last season we had a lot of talking points about the fact that 8 was disappearing, no pros seemingly wanted to get on and grind. We do now at 8 have search and destroy 8, but it just seemed like Respawn is just so terrible that people don't really play it anymore. Looney's that crazy how they died over the years. Back in the day, I remember Black Ops 3 Infinite Warfare, used to watch all these 8s, right? Basically 8 pro players get in a lobby, choose captains, pick a team and just play out for, $20 on the line each or something, and that's what they do for the series. Now, it doesn't really happen anymore outside of search and destroy, and I wonder if this is kind of either a work ethic thing for some of the players, because they are still playing search and destroy, but it just seems like, no way to grind Respawn besides just scrims, says Slasher, so he's getting kind of frustrated about it, and maybe players just need to step up their work ethic a bit, because that was the talk last season, that these players, even just before the World Championship, were just getting on playing scrims, and then getting off for the day, not even playing anything else, right? So that's, an interesting topic to keep your eyes on for sure. Let's dive into the OpTic stuff then. So, of course, also talking points lately, Shorty, Dashy, iLLeY, Scump, of course, the team that won, the OpTic Major won a couple of months ago at this point, but since then, of course, it's been a rather rocky road for them. Of course, iLLeY's injury kind of during the Prime Classic definitely hasn't helped with that at all, and there's been a big talking point the last few months or so. What's going on with iLLeY? What's going to happen? Is he going to be able to come back into business? We've seen tweets like this the last couple of days, whatever it takes, he says. Also, the Hourglass thing he tweeted as well, saying it's only a matter of time. And the rumor had it really around about kind of, during the Major 3, for example, iLLeY came back into business, was meeting up with the team here in Toronto, and he said a few words on the kind of, in this Hex vlogs and stuff like this, and Rambo also said on stream that he's got to have a procedure done in Texas that's effectively going to make things okay. The first doctor thought it was bad, and then the second doctor thought it was actually all right. He's had the MRI done, and the rumor had it actually wasn't as bad as maybe was initially feared, and it can be frustrating to speculate on this stuff, but if OpTic aren't, giving any updates, right, or we don't hear anything from Rambo, then we have to take what Zuma says, at least kind of share it and talk about it on the video today. So that's what we're going to do. So anyway, the rumor had it that iLLeY was okay, it wasn't assist or anything, because I believe he said initially, I think there was a clip in the process when it kind of first happened, he was very concerned that it was assist, but the doctor said it actually wasn't, but now Zuma says that it actually is, right, which certainly isn't going to be good news at all. So I'll certainly share what Zuma has to say on this front, saying that it could be somewhat similar to what Zuma had to deal with during his career. I think back in Advanced Warfare, he had something like this and then had to have surgery for it, and it was okay for a couple of years before eventually complications as such kind of brought his career to an end with the pain that he was having at the start of the Black Ops Cold War season, right? So definitely a big concern, but Zuma reckons that what he's going to have done is surgery after the end of the season. For now, we can just have it drained. That might be the procedure that Rambo was talking about a couple of days ago, and then after the season, he's going to have an operation and to have surgery to remove it, and then hopefully it's going to be okay, but definitely doesn't paint the whole situation in a great light. The fact that even if he does get it drained and it's okay for a couple of weeks, this problem may well recur throughout the rest of the season, and even then, there's no guarantees it's going to be at 100% health long term.
Have we heard for anything from OpTic with iLLeY? Have we heard anything with
I don't know what's going on with iLLeY. So apparently iLLeY
just hopeful.
Apparently iLLeY, by the way, everybody was saying no cyst, no cyst. Everybody was calling me a moron. Apparently it is a cyst. Apparently he has a cyst. The good thing about it is it's not in his wrist, it's not by his tendons or anything. They're just gonna go in and drain it. Like that's what I'm hearing. He has a cyst in his thumb.
Tom, isn't that what happened with you?
But mine was in my wrist. So the thing with me is it was blocking my tendon. I couldn't move my thumb. I lost my range of motion. His is a little bit. It's in a different spot. But same thing. I think
yours drained, right? And then it came back.
Nah, they couldn't drain mine because it was near a major artery in my wrist. So they couldn't go in with a needle. Like iLLeY's, you can see his is protruding from his hand. Like you can see it. Mine was in my hand. When you looked on my wrist, you couldn't see a cyst. We didn't even know what the was wrong with me at the time. We had no idea.
He played scrims today. They said iLLeY tweet. What
iLLeY tweet? What did he tweet? Well, listen, if he's playing, I'm guessing that iLLeY's going to be coming back into the roster shortly. I think what they're going to do with iLLeY,
whatever it takes, bro. What is this?
Listen, for me,
he could tweet that before he goes in and gets his cyst drained. Like
the thing with me with iLLeY is I think he's going to get it drained. I think it's going to help him a little bit, but that's not going to help his case. It's going to come back after he gets it drained. And I think right now they're going to try and get it drained, try and get him back into the roster, and then at the end of the year, at the end of the season, they're gonna go in and perform surgery and maybe remove the whole thing, remove the whole sack.
Remove the whole thumb.
They call it not the thumb, the sack, the cyst.
I'm trolling.
They'll remove the whole because so it's what it is with these cysts. There's a sack.
Yeah, Enable could do it. He can do it.
There's a point where the cyst is growing from, and you have to remove where it's growing from. You have to remove the sack or whatever forget what they called it, but the doctor was telling me when I had problems, and they're gonna have to go in and remove the whole thing. If they don't and they keep draining it, it's just gonna keep coming back over and over again. He's gonna play for a couple weeks, boom, his hand's gonna swell up, he's gonna get it.
So look, we hope everything works out for you. We hate to see injuries and difficulties like this that players are having, but it does seem like something which might not be a particularly good thing at all for the OpTic guys, because there were some thoughts like, okay, he needs to take a month off or so, then he's gonna be back in business. But if it is the case that he's gonna have this cyst drained, it's gonna be okay for a couple of weeks, a couple of months or whatever, and then it's gonna, kind of the pus is gonna come back, the issue is going to recur, and then he's going to have surgery on it after the season concludes. Even if this procedure goes perfectly fine, right, and the surgery after the end of the season goes perfectly well as well, and everything's okay, it definitely doesn't put him in the best position in terms of competing at his, best level, right, at the end of the day. Like, if he's having this pain in his thumb that's going to go away for a couple of weeks, but then it's going to slowly come back over the course of the Major 4 qualifiers, the Major 4 itself, and the World Championship, then, it's obviously going to put a lot of pressure on him individually to perform well, given the way the team has been, for example, at the majors with Pro League, well, Major 3, for example, even though they performed the same way, or they placed the same with iLLeY back in Major 2, but he's also got pressure to perform individually, right, and put up good numbers, right, and if his thumb isn't going to be at 100% capacity, then, it's far from guaranteed that he's going to be able to do that. It's a really difficult situation for iLLeY, and the whole team, I'm sure they're frustrated about this, and I'm sure, none more so than iLLeY as well. We haven't really heard anything from the OpTic camp outside of what Zuma's just said there, that he believes in what he's heard behind the scenes, all these people saying, oh, it's not assist, it's okay, he reckons that it actually is assist, and that's at least what he's heard, which of course is pretty much the thing that iLLeY and the OpTic guys didn't want to be the case, right? So yeah, frustrating situation. We saw, of course, back at the Prime Classic when he was kind of talking about the pain that he was having, and the fact that the pain wasn't there initially, but after he played for a couple of hours it was there. So look, who knows if this procedure, the kind of draining thing, will be able to sort it for a couple of months or so, which is kind of what he needs to have to get him to the end of the season, and then after that maybe the surgery will go fine and it'll be okay. But we just got to look back really on what happened with Zuma a few years ago and wonder if iLLeY's actually going to be okay for the rest of his career, right? Because he's so young, such a bright career ahead of him, already a world champion. I'm sure there's no one more frustrated about the situation than iLLeY right now. So I'm sure they're going to do everything in their power to make sure he's as well as he possibly can be. So intrigued to your perspective in the comment section below. Got to talk about the power rankings then that also come out from that flank episode, because thought these were rather interesting. There's definitely I don't think this is terrible. There's a few things that I would change personally. D tier I think is okay. I feel like having Los Angeles Guerrillas down here isn't actually such a bad idea, to be honest, right now. I'd probably just lean on the side of having Paris on their own, but LAG down in D is probably justified right now. Now, as we move up, I feel like New York have been harshly done by here. I know that their thought process here was, okay, they're kind of out of the season, doesn't matter, but to me, New York are actually much more competitive than they appear on this list. I would put them in the B tier, somewhere along those lines. I feel like they're better than these teams below them, to be honest. They almost beat Seattle. I think they've been pretty good so far in their qualifiers. Since the Prime, right, they've been a pretty solid team. Yes, they got beaten by London and placed top 12 of the Major, but they almost took down Seattle game 5 round 11 in winners round 1. They looked pretty good in the qualifiers before then, right? They beat OpTic in those qualifiers as well. So like, I definitely think they're a kind of a B tier team right now, but you know, whether they're going to make champs, that's another question entirely. I think the rest of their C tier is pretty good, actually. I quite like the way these are ranked here. I think the Florida Mutineers have potential to move up with their change. I think the Minnesota and Los Angeles Thieves are kind of interchangeable right now. Thieves kind of placed better on LAN, but at Minnesota better online, so kind of tough to say who's better there, and I feel like they are kind of roughly a B tier team. The top 4 teams are also correct, I think, in the right order, even though I think you can certainly justify having Seattle as the second best team right now. I feel like they could well be above OpTic based on recent performances, right? They won the major. OpTic come top 6 again, given all their situations, right? You've got to just judge OpTic with their present team on face value, and I feel like their present team with ProLoot is not better than Seattle, right? So I think I'd actually have OpTic third right here, and then I'm not sure I'd put FaZe in S tier. I know that people are going to justify FaZe in S, and I think that's understandable, right? Best team in the game, like a most consistent team, at least outside of Paris Legion. Like, they make all the grand finals, have the most points, the most prize money, all this type of stuff, but I don't know, from my perspective, I'm just not sure FaZe, if they haven't won it feels weird that all the teams below them here, OpTic, Seattle, and Toronto, have won events this year. Toronto was the kickoff, but you guys know what I mean. Like, all these teams have won an event, FaZe haven't, but yet FaZe are the S tier team. So I think, honestly, I would lean on the side of, just because it's Vanguard, things are inconsistent, of putting FaZe at the top of the A tier, then Seattle, then OpTic, then Toronto, and not having an S tier for now. And we'll see how the S tier develops as the season progresses. If FaZe win one, then they're S tier. But until then, I feel like it's a little bit weird to justify, so that's just my perspective, but I feel like a decent list on the whole, to be honest. Wanted to mention this as well from Breaking Point, because Lion Man came up with some beautiful cards from the last couple of events. He did the MVP card as well for Major 3. These were the MVPs so far this season, right? So Pred, of course, being one of them. This is his card right here. Like, unbelievable performance, honestly, from him. He was dominant from start to finish. 1.1, like, look at the consistency across the game modes. His hard point as well was just spectacular. Look at these numbers. So yeah, Pred finally, like, he had an absolute performance on LAN to be reckoned with. Not sure who the best LAN performer was, honestly, so far this year. I might well give it to Pred, honestly. What he was doing in all the game modes was very impressive. I feel like Spart was pretty good for his run as well, but outside of his search and destroy, he didn't do that much that was incredibly impressive. And then Dashi, I think, kind of gets the number 2 second best MVP so far this year. But to me, Pred's performance was simply next level. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button, tell us your YouTube guys, this is a good video. I'd just like you to see it as well, and upgrade the competitive quality of the community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.
Tell you now, they should put that map there from J Giz, yeah, in the history books of routing. Honestly, putting that in museum with what's that, Leona Lewis.
I'm just saying we need to try
Leona Lewis. What's her name?
Leona Lewis.
No.
Well, the Mona Lisa.
That's it.
Oh, you're just getting clipped.
Leona
Alright, that's
Lewis
a
is